Hey ho ho! YouTube, welcome to my Q&A webinar on Coffin Nation and what's in it for you. Are we live? Love to see a little hello, hello, hello. I think we are live. Click here at any time to view the post on YouTube. Okay, that's when it's done. So, welcome. My name's Patrick Coffin. I host the Patrick Coffin Show, which uploads to the universe every Tuesday morning. We talk about faith and culture and music and sexual sanity. We defend the family. We talk about marriage. We talk about getting out of porn addiction. We talk about the pro-life issue. We love Jesus, and we love His church. You can't love Jesus without loving His church. If you were to pull up to someone and go to a dinner party, and they said to you, "Yeah, you're fine, but we don't want your wife in the party," you would be rightly indignant, because Jesus is the bride, the bridegroom. Excuse me, the church is the bridegroom of Jesus. I'll try that again. The church is the bride of the bridegroom. There it is. 3 times the charm. So we love Jesus and we love His church. We're into the both and principle. And I started Coffin Nation because I wanted to provide a forum, a wheelhouse, a home base, if you will, for people all over the world. We're at 5 countries now, who are longing for a community in which they're understood, that they have struggles that are very similar to the struggles going on in their own life. Connectivity and confidence and commitment are the ways we describe it. Connectivity with other members, it's back and forth. It's not just videos. It's not just teachings. It's not just lists of things you should do. It's the ability to connect with me, but also, and maybe more importantly, with each other. I can't tell you how happy it makes me when I see people connecting inside, whether it's the closed Facebook group, or whether it's in the comment box of Transform You Masterclasses, or whether it's someone I meet on the road and I know that they've been emailing with other members in different parts of the world. It's amazing how similar that our problems are. Nolan, yeah, Thomas Pink, yeah, I'm open. I'd like to do a show called "Is Philosophy Stupid?" And maybe Thomas Pink. Hello again, Mr. Coffin. Hello, Carl. And hello, Margot. Yes. What I'm trying to do very consciously now is reach out to guests who have bigger platforms than I do. That's the only way to grow, is to organically keep going after fish that are bigger than you are, because then that fish introduces you to their tribe and vice versa. That's the way to kind of grow. For instance, by far and away, the biggest spike in any interview I did was when I went full metal Catholic with Dr. Jordan B. Peterson. That was done last year in Los Angeles. That's my 4th interview with him. And that, I think it's up to, it's over 500,000 views now. Just on YouTube, not including SoundCloud and iTunes and Stitcher and all that. That's because he has a very large pool of people following him. So I would like to, you're using your real name? Awesome. I know your real name is Rupert von Spinkel, but no judging. Yeah, so I would like to do that. I would also like to talk to a psychiatrist. I want to do one called "Is Psychiatry Crazy?" So there it is. Oh, MT Trad Catholic. I'm sure that's your baptized name, right? Anyway, good to have you, MT. Good evening, Mark. We're just doing a Q&A here on Coffin Nation, what it means. If you're a member, if you want to chime in with even 1 or 2 sentences about what membership has meant in your life, I keep hearing from members privately that they feel like the content is uniquely tailored to them, which is a really interesting thing to think about, because I do filter my guest choices and the topics and the subject matter and the direction I want to take the show. I have in mind what is of maximal value to you. I do a ton of free content. I do live streams here and there. I do a lot of engagement for free, because I believe in just scattering the seeds out there. This is not, if I wanted this to be a money-making machine, I would have done something different. So I do get a lot of joy when someone says that they feel like the content, whether it's the guest or the topic or the commentary inside the Coffin Report, is uniquely suited, because I'm saying things outside the box. I'm finding hard to find clips. I'm using photos and of course I come up with my own titles that I hope it involves comedy. because it's not just culture war stuff. The culture war as a concept, as I said over on Facebook Live in my session a few moments ago, the culture war is about sex. It's not just about small government versus big or gun control or taxes. It's about the role of sex and the role of the relationship between men and women and the meaning of the family. That's really what the culture war is about. And on the one hand, you have the pro-family side that tend to be pro-life, tend to be pro-monogamy. On the other side, you have the party of license, which is the party of death. It's the party of birth control. It's the party of pornography. It's the party of homosexuality. And it all hinges on whether sex is for life and bonding, or whether it's for whatever the heck you want it to be for. So to me, that's the demarcation. In fact, I have a 2,000-word essay I'm trying to shop around on what the culture war is really about. So maybe you'll see it in print somewhere. Jacob Peterson asks, what are my opinions on psychology? My opinions on psychology are complex and very hard to summarize in a format like this. I do not consider psychology to be a hard science. Psychology, psyche is the Greek word for soul, for mind. And so I appreciate the sound insights that some psychiatrists and psychologists have given. There are some, in fact, I can mention some here, psychologists that I admire. One of them is Paul Vitz. Dr. Vitz has written a book on psychology as self-worship. He also has a book called Faith of the Fatherless, which is another feature of the Patrick Coffin Show in our vault. I forget which number, but he has a thesis that atheism is caused by bad dads. He analyzes people from Voltaire to Marx to Daniel Dennett to Christopher Hitchens, all the famous atheists, and he finds they all have one thing in common: crappy fathers. So there's something there. But I recommend Paul Vitz's book. I also like Dr. Carl Stern. He was an MD, convert from Judaism. William, what is his name? William, it's going to come to me. Boy, it's on the tip of my throat. It's at the back of my throat, on the tip of my tongue. I just mixed a couple metaphors there. William, I'm going to find it here. He was part of the movement to destroy the Immaculate Heart sisters in Los Angeles, and he really ruled the day. He was a disciple of Carl Rogers, and I'm going to find him. IHR sisters, no, IHM sisters. IHM. I'm going to get this. Please, thank you very much. Carl Rogers. By the way, Carl Rogers is an example. Oh, William Colson. Thank you. Oh, there it is. Anyway, I'll just put his name here. William Colson. Very interesting story of regret about the Rogerian group therapy that he taught sisters to do and others in the 1960s that led to the almost immediate destruction of the religious orders. Carl Rogers, bad idea to go to Rogerian therapy. It's basically, I'm okay, you're okay, I'm just going to listen. And Carl Rogers is sort of the parody of the therapist who gets paid to repeat the last couple of words that you said. I'm really bad, I feel terrible because my father beat me as a kid. So your father beat you? Yeah, he beat me, and then he threw my head into a meat grinder, and he was very hurtful. So it was very hurtful. So the person unspools in a totally non-judgmental environment. Not that the therapist is there to judge the person. However, there are moral standards, but you don't get that from Rogerian therapy. So I would say that there are some insights in psychology, but if you look at the DSM, I think it's up to DSM-5 or so. This is the Bible of Psychiatry, the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual. It is thoroughly secular. It was the DSM in 1973, the same year, by the way, Roe v. Wade was passed and became law, that homosexuality was taken off as a mental disorder. So this is the opinion of secular men. and women. So as much as I appreciate some of the insights in psychiatry, I'll mention a psychiatrist that I can recommend warmly, and that is Dr. Aaron Cariotti. He wrote a book called, in fact, I'll put a link up here because I'd love to help him out at any time. It's called The Catholic Guide to Depression. Yeah, The Catholic Guide to Depression. I'll just have my wife put a link up here. So, yes, Psychology as Self-Worship. That's the Psychology as Self-Worship, I think, is the name of Dr. Witz's book, because he was a former atheist. He's now a professor emeritus of psychology at NYU. Very intelligent man. And his insight is that psychology that doesn't have a transcendent grounding to it is just narcissistic living in a hall of mirrors. There's no standard against which you can gauge your mental health. I would recommend Fulton Sheen's book, which is a kind of sustained critique of Freudianism. Fulton Sheen's book called Peace of Soul. And if you think about it, let's put the title there. Therapy, at least engaged by Freud and Jung, is really expensive confession, but no absolution, just a heavy bill. Think of it. When you lie down on the couch, symbolically, or sit in a chair, whatever, and you unspool about your problems and the things you've done wrong and the things that have caused you shame and the terrible mistakes you've made, and you're trying to sort yourself out, you have someone non-judgmental like a Rogerian therapist. Well, that's great. Jesus Christ, by the way, in the person of the priest, is also non-judgmental. But the difference is he applies the medicine of mercy, and he can never tell another soul what you told him. And most important, you get to hear the most incredible words this side of heaven. I absolve you from your sins. And it's free. In fact, it's a grave sin to pay for a sacrament. So it's free. Your secret is safe with the priest. You get the absolution from your sins from Jesus Christ himself. And it's psychologically sound. There are many clinical benefits to absolution because you stop hating yourself. You stop, you get off the hamster wheel of self-shame and self-rejection, which leads to what? Leads to more sin. Whatever your sinful inclinations are, hating yourself only makes them worse because you want to escape again. You get another motive to escape. And all of sin is a form of escape. The Greek word for sin is hamartia, which means to miss the mark. It's a term drawn from archery. So when you get into a habit of missing the mark, you're afraid of reality. And the presence of God is the basis of reality. That's why confession is so powerful, because it frees your mind. It breaks the chains that bind you, that force you to keep doing the same crappy thing over and over again. What does John say in John's gospel? The slave is basically, he's saying the slave can't help it. Whoever sins is a slave to sin. A slave gets dragged around by chains, ordered by his master to do things he doesn't want to do. That's the essence of sin. Doing the thing you don't want to do that you know is wrong. St. Paul says this in Romans chapter 7. Why do I do the things that I don't want to do? I do the very things that I hate. I know what's right. I do the very thing that I know is not right. Who's going to rescue me? And then he says, thanks be to God, Jesus Christ my Lord. He breaks through all of that unhealthy dialogue, self-thoughts, and says, I love you. I made you out of nothing. I continue to have you in being because I have this thing about being, and I want to share being. And so when you go to confession and you are released from your sins, they're not just blotted out. They're not just forgotten or thrown into the sea somewhere. They're absolved. They're taken away. What does John the Baptist say when he sees his cousin? There's the Lamb of God who takes away the sins of the world, including mine and yours. So that's a long-winded way of saying the best psychology is the sacrament of reconciliation, also called penance, formerly called confession. There's another name of a psychiatrist I'm thinking of. Oh, there's a Christian guy. He's a Protestant writer I really like. His name's Larry Crabb. Larry Crabb wrote a book. Maybe, can you hear me okay? The Silence of Adam. Very interesting book, The Silence of Adam. Put the link up there in just a second. Yeah, by the way, speaking of psychology, you're not really asking about this. Oh boy, there's so much here. This is awesome. I don't have a lot of faith in marriage counselors. And the reason is the best tools on earth are not going to work unless both partners want them to work. So if two adults can't sit in a room together and sort themselves out and work out the problems, I have not had any examples where it's effective for the money you're paying. So just want to scroll down. Yeah, I know. Yeah, but I'm up here actually. Okay. Yes, Colson definitely later regretted his involvement. Yeah, he's a good guy to Google, William Colson. I don't know if he wrote a book about this. He might have. He really lacerated himself on how much damage he did when he came back to the practice of his Catholic faith. It was not pretty for him. I'll mention another title here: The Flight from Woman by Dr. Carl Stern. Carl Stern was, as I mentioned, a Jewish psychiatrist. Oh, here's a great psychologist who is also a psychiatrist, and that is Dr. Conrad Bars. Conrad Bars. His daughter, Suzanne Bars, is carrying his legacy on. She's one of the Transform You guests, experts inside Coffin Nation. Which, by the way, I just want to mention, we're closing the doors in 2 days. So if you want to join the Coffin Nation community, which we affectionately call Nationistas, go to coffinnation.com. Love to have you aboard. Dr. Conrad Bars spent 19 months in the Buchenwald concentration camp. 1,000 men were captured, put on a train. He was part of the Dutch resistance. And of the 1,000 men who were shoved into the camp, only 6 walked out when General Patton liberated the camp. Conrad was one of them. His life is like a movie that's not been filmed yet. And he has very rich insights into wounded psyches and how to deal with people with PTSD, people with childhood traumas. And it's really the power of affirmation. So I would recommend this book. By the way, what I'm doing now is what we do regularly inside Coffin Nation, or Askaways. I'm just throwing all kinds of resources at you. Born Only Once by Bars, B-A-A-R-S. He died in 1980. Wonderful Catholic psychiatrist. Okay, yes, yeah, most doctors, take for example ADHD. ADHD is a description of behaviors. There's no thing in the brain called the ADHD disease, okay? It doesn't exist. In fact, it's diagnosed by a questionnaire. Now, sickle cell anemia or cancer or influenza, diabetes, shingles, lupus, those are all diseases you can look at. This is a hard science point of view when you're talking about an actual illness. But with ADHD, they use a whole panoply of drugs. I know I've tried all of them. Based on a diagnosis that's really a series of character traits, of behaviors. So, yeah, that's another child of secular psychology that I don't get behind. Another thing that psychiatrists and psychologists tend to overlook is the power of diet, of getting rid of sugar and reducing your carb intake, eating more vegetables, drinking more water, cutting down on booze. No more, if it's in a box or a bag, maybe you should give it a rest. There's a book by, this is all coming to me here, Julia, what's your last name? Julia, anyway, her name's Julia. The book is called The Mood Cure. Very interesting book. I'm going to find that name right now. Yeah, Judy. Drawing a blank on her name. What is it? Julia Ross, exactly. Trenton Pater Edmund from the Josias. I'm not sure what that is. Oh, integralism. Yeah, that's integralism is another one of those isms, which is it's ambiguous because it depends on. It's all. Integralism is one of those topics like Catholic social teaching that's very hard to make sexy. It's very hard to describe and talk about that kind of ism on the air. It's much more helpful to have pie graphs where you can see the scope of things. So I don't know. I don't know if it's a big enough debate. Yeah, all the sexual paraphilia is up for grabs in the DSM. Yeah, we're getting there. It's all great. This is all moving in one direction. And one of I think that the terminus point here, with the acceptance of contraception, is the normalization of necrophilia. Because we're already partway there. We're already redefining bestiality. There are whole fetishes that used to be considered absolutely obscene XXX that are now, just what you're into. And what is a sex robot but a kind of very realistic corpse? So these are all going toward deeper and deeper, more profound perversions. So there's no way out of that except to back up and to see that love and life belong together, that sex has a purpose. It's for babies. It's also for the unity of the couple. It's also for stability. St. Paul says it's better to marry than to burn. He means burn with lust. So it's a remedy for concupiscence, and it's also it's a unique expression of love. That's the one thing our culture has completely forgotten. MT Trad says, what saints' writings do you go to for comfort in these hard times? Any particular? Yes. I believe Bishop Sheen is a saint. He's one of my go-to guys. I don't just go for comfort, but I go for insight. Because sometimes if I set myself up for something that I'm trying to get comfort from, I might be disappointed when the comfort doesn't come. But with insight, if I have meaning to what I'm going through, that's extremely helpful. I love St. Francis de Sales. Anything by St. Francis de Sales, whether the Catholic Controversy or Introduction to the Devout Life. I'll put that down here. Introduction to the Devout Life. That's a good book to read and to reread by the great St. Francis de Sales. Also, I love He Leadeth Me by Walter Ciszek. If you just plug that in there, you'll find it. I'll mention another one who is now a servant of God, soon to be blessed. No, I guess he'll soon to be, I think he's venerable, and that is Emil Capon. Father Emil Capon was a World War II and Korea conflict era army chaplain who died in captivity. He was finally given the Presidential Medal of Honor. And there's a book about him called The Miracle of Father Capon. Great read. Our men's group, Holy Smokes, read it together, and it's just a mind-blowingly great book. Also, Thomas Aquinas, if you can just be patient. A lot of Thomas's insights. Oh, I'll give you one. Here's another one. Thomas Joseph White. He's a contemporary philosopher and a Catholic priest. He's a Dominican. Wonderful, wonderful writer. White, O.P. He has a book called Introduction to Catholicism. I think it's called Christ the Light, something like that. He's also been on the show last year, 2 years ago. Hope that's a help. MT Trad Catholic. Yeah, Paladin says, yeah, you get it off your chest. Yeah, I don't think it's wrong or like a waste of time. I just think you have to be very skeptical about the claims made by psychology, since they've been wrong so often, and they're often on the side of things that are morally harmful to persons. You know, a patient is a very vulnerable person, and they're open to all kinds of suggestion. And one of the things you don't read about is how often a therapist or a psychiatrist or psychologist will cross the line and seduce a patient. It happens. The little thing called transference and countertransference. And psychology didn't exist before Freud. The idea of unburdening yourself and just like verbally vomiting all your crap before someone who's supposed to help you, that doesn't predate Freud. He invented this. He invented psychoanalysis. But the Catholic Church has been doing it the right way for 2,000 years before then. By the way, little true factoid for you. Freud never had any Catholic patients. Freud dealt with upper crust, Swiss, European, wealthy Protestants or lapsed Christians. So psychoanalysis, in a way, is a substitute. It's a faux confession. A, costs a lot of money. B, you don't get absolved at the end. So I think enough said on that. Okay, God bless you, Jacob. That's it's you're obviously wanting to help people. I would just say have both eyes open. Make sense? Yeah, the church seems to have moved away from spiritual directors. Yeah, Mr. Kev, I think people are so busy. They're so busy. My gosh, if you have a spiritual director, that means you have to, you know, sit and talk. It's also hard to find someone really who's good. St. Francis de Sales talks about this in his book, Introduction to the Devout Life, how difficult it is to find someone who's compatible and simpatico and wise and someone you trust. And by the way, it's not psychology. You're not sitting there throwing flowers at each other. You're digging into your moral faults. You're talking about your strengths, your virtues, and the way God made you, and how you can climb up to those those high places that only the hinds can go. So, as I like to say, in the history of the Olympics, no one has ever won a gold medal without a coach. So we all need a coach, and the spiritual director can be that. It's just hard to find one in today's church. There's so many loopy or psychologized priests that are they everything's about sociology and trends and feelings. To me, it's a waste of time at best. Okay, let's go back here. Yeah, Mr. Kev, you just have to keep knocking on the doors. You have to try out bad ones. You have to kiss some symbolic frogs before you settle on a spiritual director or a regular confessor. They're out there. It's just difficult. Just if you know going in it's hard, it makes it easier to do because you realize, yeah, it's a tough journey. It's not quite needle in a haystack, but you're not going to bump into it randomly, at least not quickly. Okay, so you guys, I'm happy you're here. Hello, Ma Ella Bella. Is that an actual name? Because if it is, I love you even more. Ma Ella Bella, awesome name. Thank you for the kind words. Okay, yes, back. So go to coffeenation.com, find out about the community. This is one of the things we do in our Ask Away sessions. We have interactive stuff. We share resources. I throw links, book titles, authors, things that have changed my life, things that I know work, that have a track record. Some of them are secular sources, like I think John Acuff, who wrote Start, is a Christian, not a Catholic. Here's an example of sound psychiatry. Look up logotherapy. Logotherapy is the third wave of Viennese psychiatry. The first wave was Freud, who said the will to sexual pleasure is the dominant drive in man. The second wave was Alfred Adler, who said that the will to power and control was the dominant impulse. And Viktor Frankl, this is his name, Viktor Frankl, who spent 4 years in Auschwitz, so he knows suffering. He wrote a book called Man's Search for Meaning. Can you put that up? Man's Search for Meaning. There's Viktor Frankl. Jewish psychiatrist. He married a longtime Catholic, and I heard someone say that that Frankl became a Catholic on his deathbed in his 90s, but I'm not sure if that's true. Born only once, yes. So, also, what's the specials for clergy and seminarians?
It's free.
Yeah, seminarians and clergy are free, so if you want to mention it to your pastor, that would be great. Nuns, we have priest members, and they don't pay because we love them. And we have what? Oh, we have reduced rate for active military. So if you're in active service military, and also students. So you can find out more at coffeenation.com. There's a FAQ there. Yeah, ADHD diagnosis, it's just everywhere. It's everywhere. The thing that makes boys charming and wild has been doped out of so many of them, I'm sad to say. BDB says, so you think when God came to earth, he actually had to bear the sins of those he prayed for, like we mortals do if we wish to be heard? If so, that is impressive. The answer is yes. I believe that when God came to earth, he bore the sins of every man, including you, including me. All the sins from Adam until the last man on earth. All of those sins were borne by one man. And the only reason that one man could have done it is because he was God. Here's the doctrine of the Trinity. Number one, there's one God. Number two, God is one nature shared by three divine persons. Number 3, the second person, Jesus Christ, the Word made flesh, has two natures, human and divine. Finally, the Father is not the Son is not the Father, and neither the Father nor the Son are the Holy Spirit, but they are one God, one in nature, three in person. What is nature? Simple. It's the answer to the question, what is it? What's the nature of it? What's a person? Easy. It's the answer to the question, who is it? So if you hear a bump in the night, you might go, what is that? What's the nature of that sound? If you see a shadow on a wall, and it's a shadow of someone wearing a fedora, you would say, who is it? Because you know it's a person. That's the Trinity. So when our first parents sinned, they created a debt greater than they could pay. We define sin in its gravity based not on the person who sins, but on the person who is offended. In this case, Almighty God is offended by our sins. And so Jesus Christ came to this earth to die. He didn't just come to found the church or to teach and provide miracles or lessons, which he did also. He primarily came into this world to die. And his death and his resurrection made reparation for all those sins. The question becomes, how does that act of reparation, what we call the redemption, how does that get applied to us? Well, the church Christ founded tells us how, and that is through the sacraments, through the Eucharist, which is his own body and blood, soul and divinity. Sacrament of penance or confession, where we disclose our evils, our dark sins, our secrets, and Jesus Christ, through the agency of his priest, listens and absolves. Bishop Sheen tells a story in one of his talks about a mother whose daughter had been raped. And the woman was struggling in her faith to understand how a good God could have allowed this to her beautiful daughter. And Bishop Sheen wrote her back, and he expressed deep condolence. And he said, your daughter is bearing the sins of one man, which is a terrible burden. Imagine bearing the burden of 10 men's sins, what that would have done. Imagine anyone bearing the sins of 100 other men. It boggles the mind. Well, Christ bore the sins of all mankind. In his passion, he felt all of the darkness, terror, shame, fear, regret. St. Paul says, he who was without sin became sin for our sake on the cross. So he expiated it in his human nature. Jesus Christ, the God-man, saved us by the human decision of a divine person. Now, thanks be to God, we have all of heaven to chew on that truth. But yes, to your question, did he have to bear the sins of those he prayed for? Yes. That's the great thing about the Catholic faith. It's either too good to be true, or it's so good it has to be true. Okay, so coffination.com. Love to hear you. Love to see you sign up. We're closing the doors in a couple of days. We open them 3 times a year, and we want you to join because we would love to have you part of this conversation. It's not just videos. It's not just commentary. It's not just one-sided teaching instruction, as helpful as all those things may be and other avenues that you can pay for. This is connectivity. This is growth in community. This is getting to know each other, answering questions, dialoguing back and forth. And by the way, I have this, as Margot can tell you, I'm sort of allergic to the concept of dialogue. I don't think what's it mean? But what we mean here is not a substitute for evangelization. We mean an actual conversation where we go from not knowing something to knowing something, or from knowing something at a certain level to really having it affirmed and brought home. Okay. I'm glad that you benefited from ADD meds, Margot. In full disclosure, Adderall XR, Ritalin, Focalin, Vyvanse, Strattera. All I got were bad side effects. Didn't help me at all. But the book that did help me was David Allen's Getting Things Done, The Art of Stress-Free Productivity. The key is, you need to do little tricks and tactics to kind of outfox yourself. I do a regular morning mind dump. If I have to do something, I get it out of my head and write it down. Instills a great feeling of peace, for starters. BDD, I get paid tomorrow. Next time you run a show, I will definitely donate. Well, you're in luck, BDD. You want to put the website? Yeah, just go to coffeenation.com. You can sign up right now. There are 3 levels of engagement. Each gets you a certain batch of content. Different batches, it's a different thing. So if you go there, you have till the 25th, which is 2 days from now. BDB. Is that your real name? Is that your real name? Anyway, thanks for the questions. In my opinion, is being a psychologist a sin? No, of course not. It all depends on the psychologist. But being a psychologist itself comes with risks because in most states of the union, at least here in California, you're not allowed to practice what they call, foolishly, a conversion therapy. You look at people like, I'm going to give another doctor, by the way. This is a psychiatrist, Dr. Richard Fitzgibbons. In fact, Jacob, reach out to Dr. Fitzgibbons. Tell him I sent you. He's in Conshohocken, PA. Just Google him. You'll find him. Tell him that Patrick said that you'd be a good person to ask about that. And he'll tell you, no, being a psychologist is not a sin. Giving morally bad advice, that would be a sin. Imbibing premises that are not true, that would be a problem. But per se, yeah, there's a way to do it. Suzanne Bars is a psychologist. So you can look up Sue Bars as well. She's in Texas, which is our neighbor to the south. All right, let's move on here. Only you can within the damage you've caused. Scary. Yes, thank you for that. Oh, see, I love it. See, people are already answering. I'm just a little bit a little slow in the uptake here. I want to keep up to all the questions, and I see people are already diving in to help each other. That's what we do here inside Coffin Nation. Bishop Scene, go-tos, yep. Awesome. Miracle of Father Capon. Yeah, that's the problem. If you're like me, Carl, books are like my materialism. I don't care about fancy cars. I don't need a $5,000 suit, but I really love books. And then it becomes a question of time management. I can't read all the books I want to read. When I go into a bookstore, I get hives. I'd love to read that title. I have to be careful when I'm in Amazon. Click, buy. All right. Heads up. Yep. Church Militant, Dr. Marshall. There's a lot of good things going on with good people. I enjoyed my conversation with Michael Voris, by the way. I was on his show twice, once talking about State of the Church and once talking about the Sheenster, so it was fun. I may have Mike back on as a, hey, Sheepdog, 1999. Are you in law enforcement, Sheepdog? Do I know you? Have we talked before? Watchdog of Truth is okay. Okay, transparency. Okay, so traditional Latin Mass. The truth will live. Sedevacantism is the only way to restore the church. Not true. The truth will live. Not true. Sedevacantism is silly. Sedevacantism, the belief that the chair of Peter is empty, is great proof that Jesus Christ did not mean what he said when he promised to be with the church until the end of time. Most Sedevacantists believe that the last legitimate pope was Pope Pius XII, who died in 1958. Before he died in 1958, he wrote a document that governs future papacy elections, and you have to have cardinals who are alive to vote for the next papacy conclave. The trouble with Sedevacantism is that all the cardinals who were alive in 1958 have all died. So you're out of luck. So I'm sorry, Sedevacantism is not the only way to restore the church. The way to restore the church is called orthodoxy, orthodoxy, orthodoxy. Another way to say that is faithfulness, faithfulness, faithfulness. Sorry, that's not going to work. Okay. Okay, we're going to don't want to get down into too much of a. Yes, God, the Trinity. How does the Trinity affect us on a quantum level? I have no idea. I'm not a physicist, but someone who might be able to tell you more is Dr. Anthony Rizzi or Rizzo. He is a Catholic and a physicist. Okay, someone's asking like Saab Lebsbach. Okay, going down here. Brian Walsh, are the reduced rates for people with 4 more kids? That's an excellent idea, Brian. We're not set up for that just yet, but I like the way you think. That's a little bee in my bonnet. Interdimensional level, I don't know, Sheepdog. I have no idea. Yeah, but he's talking about, let's say, yeah. So we're not set up yet, but it's not a bad idea. What's the use of ad ori? Okay, the truth for live. We're just gonna move on here, bro. This is not going anywhere. I just can't go down the same dead ends. All right, so someone's saying, will I debate someone? Oh, no, I'm not going to debate a state vacantis because state vacantism it's a phenomena that's believed by a tiny sliver of 1%. I might as well debate someone who believes that the Earth is not geoid shaped. Not that interested. And frankly, they would state vacantis tend to be middle-aged white males who love writing long documents. That tends to be their sweet spot. So the answer is no. There's so many other more important debates to have than that. I'm not afraid of debates, but that's not the platform I want to share. Should one believe in the apparition of Our Lady of Akita? Yes, that is a legitimate, approved apparition by the local bishop there in Akita. Very sobering warning about the importance of conversion. Faux show. Okay. Going to, a young revert, Siegfried, going to catechesis for confirmation. I've noticed some pretty heterodox views in the program. I don't know how to handle it. Just tell them that you think it's heterodox. Tell them what you mean by heterodox and say, where's this coming from? Why does this line up with the catechism? If you have a catechism with you, Siegfried, you can contradict anything that's spoken. And I'm not saying you have to leave, but there are other confirmation programs. You can start with Symbolon. It's the one I was privileged to belong to. Symbolon. That is a great confirmation program. There's one called Chosen with Matthew Kelly and my good friend Chris Stefanik. There are other ones out there. Oy, oy, oy. Sorry to hear that. But, see, here's an example. This is why I had to ban or delete The Truth Will Live. This is a Sede guy. The Novus Ordo is a sacrilege. You all know that deep down. Yeah, no, we don't, but thanks for begging the question. Yeah, the Baltimore Catechism. Truth never changes, guys. I also recommend a book by Father Joseph McSomething. It's called Evidence for Our Faith. He was a Notre Dame professor. Can you look up Evidence for Our Faith? Love to know the name of it. It's another good one. It was published by Catholic Answers, as a matter of fact. Joseph Kavanaugh called the Evidence for Our Faith. Boy, this is... I have read... I read John of the Cross's The Dark Night of the Soul when I was too young. I would like to take a whack at Interior Castle. I'm halfway through the dialogues by St. Catherine of Siena. That's very interesting. The dialogues. Here's a woman who couldn't read, writing all this stuff. So thank you, Sheepdog. If you are an actual law enforcement sheepdog, thank you for that too. If you're not, just thank you for that. Yeah, Tracy Tranascos. She's kind of a student protege interpreter of Stanley Yaki. That's another name to put in there. Thank you, Margot. Stanley Yaki was a physicist and a historian of science. Interesting cat. I saw him speak once in Ottawa. Didn't like him. He seemed like a proud, strumping peacock. Didn't like him at all. But God rest his soul, and I thank him for his priesthood. Okay, faithfulness. Yes, yes, yes. You see how the Sedes dominate here? The truth will live. He's even called the truth will live. He can't use his real name. That's what FNCs do. They hide behind fake name coward handles. That's why he had to go. By the way, I didn't give any ad hominems. Just for everyone else, I had to delete the truth will live. I gave arguments. Pius XII died in 1958. No cardinals are still living, which means under their own logic, you cannot elect a new pope, which means Jesus Christ did not promise that the gates of hell would not prevail against the church. They believe, Sedes believe, that the Vicar of Christ stopped at some point in history, that the chair of Peter is empty. Mel Gibson believes in a version of this, and it's false. It's biblically false and it's historically false. That's not ad hominem. That's called a response or rebuttal. Trenton Mattingly, any story behind your theme? Yes. The theme music is one of France's top rock guitarists. His name is Matt Rash. I'll give Matt a shout out here. Matt is a phenomenal, like stratospherically good guitar player. And he's got several versions of what's called canon rock, canon with a K. So I got permission, and he was on board, and so I used a sample of the show. It's Pachelbel's canon, but it's what I like about it is just so, I'm going to use a potty word, it's a kick-ass version that really, if you listen to the whole thing, it just gets your blood up, and you feel like energized. If you're not like tapping your toes listening to Matt Rash's canon rock, maybe you're dead. So it's the best of the old, which is the classic Pachelbel's canon, and the best of the new, this young, modern, very skilled guitarist. He's not really a shredder. He's a legit guitarist. So that's that. Patrick Lappert, Family of Faith is a good catechetical prep. Yep. Parents Take Ownership, very good one as well. Stanley Yaki, do you think that the lesser denominations, speaking of Sheen, will ever make a return? Well, the Catholic Church is not a denomination. You might know that. I believe that Jesus gets his prayers answered, and he prayed in John's Gospel from Matthew 14 through 17 that all may be one. Jesus wants us to be one. He founded one church. Jesus really loves monogamy. He does not love polygamy. So we have one church. And the best all analogies are weak, but I think this one is not in a iron lung. I heard this from Stephen Ray. Steve Ray likens the Catholic Church to a massive cruise ship with stability and a massive engine and a cook, a galley, and instruction, and it's comfortable. And it has a track record of getting to the other side of the ocean. Protestantism is like part of the crew rebelled, and they set down dinghies in the ocean, and they're in their dinghies, and they're rowing as hard as they can. And some of them have putt-putt motors, and some of them are speedboat in appearance. But none of them are the mothership. Now, you might get to the other side in a putt-putt boat, but you're doing it because of the power of the mothership that provided your own darn boat. So, yeah, I have faith that Christians can return to the one true faith. Yeah, we should pray for it every day. By the way, MT Trad Catholic, I know you're not a Sede, Nathaniel. I don't mind people that don't use their real names as long as they're friendly. But when you come after me, you want to insult me by getting my attention that way, or you want to pound me into the ground with your awesome truth bombs, it doesn't work. I block fake name cowards who want to debate, because I'm out here. I'm transparent. I am who I say I am, and I'm putting my name behind my words. When people do that in a nasty, confrontative, combative way, that's when I draw the line. I just don't have time for it. So no, we're good. Cool. Nathaniel Seymour. Cool name. Nice to meet you. Glad you're here. Is MT, does that stand for Montana? Let me know. Oh, you're in Buenos Aires. Buenos Aires. Most of the parishes are quite liberal. Yeah, no kidding. Social justice. Right. See what I can do. I knew a priest from Buenos Aires who had some connection to the archbishop there, whose name was Jose Mario Bergoglio, and he did not want to. He did not want to be interviewed. I did not have good memories, so take that for what it's worth. Yeah, I'm not surprised. South America is a very left of center church, by and large. And there are exceptions, but there it is. No, if BDB meant orders, yeah, I'm not sure what viator to progressive means. Tell me what the viator means. I'm not sure. I've never heard that before. I mean, we have to pray for, we have to pray for all orders, because a lot of them have gone Looney Tunes. Start the list with the Jesuits and many of the Franciscans. Faithfulness, faithfulness, faithfulness. Is the culture changing faster now than in the 1960s? Ron, good question. I believe that it is. What used to feel like us galloping toward the abyss is now feeling like the abyss is galloping toward us. Every week there's this new crazy thing that people are trying to normalize. Now we're talking pedophilia. We're talking sex robots. We're talking pornography everywhere. We're talking good Catholics defending porn like Game of Thrones. So yeah, with marriage redefined and all the lid coming off because of the birth control revolution, there's a lot of things that are coming apart. They're becoming unwound. The center, right? Was that Ezra Pound? Who said this? The center cannot hold? Maybe it was it Ezra Pound? I think so. Drunken Irish poet. Anyway. So yeah, I think so. I think it is. Not what they teach, how they teach. Yeah, I miss both. It used to be that really solid orders like the Redemptorists, which have also gone pretty liberal by and large, they would send Redemptorists out in pairs. These fathers would do parish missions for a week, usually during Lent. And the first of the Redemptorist preachers would just lay it on. Hell is your destination without Christ. Here's what hell is like, brothers and sisters, and all through the Bible where hell is mentioned as a real possibility, that if you die in one mortal sin, you will spend eternity there because you obviously hate God enough to not want his grace. And then, so that was the first talk, and then the next preacher would really lay on the mercy and God's tenderness and the Father's heart of Almighty God, and gentle Jesus, mercy and mildness. So they were a good team, good cop, bad cop. Okay, yes, Logos Rising. Yeah, did someone say that E. Michael Jones was banned from YouTube? Is that true? That makes me want to have him back on the show again. I'm very drawn to people who are banned. Have you noticed that? Very drawn to people who are banned. Because if you want to know who your master is, discover who you're not allowed to criticize. Voila. That's a quote from Voltaire. Just one second. Like people like Gavin McInnes. Sheen. Oh, yes, from Viators. Well, I remember that. I remember that, but I didn't quite get the reference from Viator to progressive. I don't know. Maybe St. Viator's is now liberal. I don't know. There's so much I don't know. This is one of them. Ut unum sint. Yes, Deacon Patrick Lappert. That they all may be one. Luc Delvin, horseshoer. I love that. Thank you for being Saint. What else is there? Oh, in Montana, right on. Yeah. MT Trad, Nathaniel, invite me. I will do a parish mission for free. The parish will spend nothing. By the way, I've been to Billings before. Can you put the... Yeah. Have me talk to your pastor, or I can do it as an organization outside the parish. Either way. It's a one-night mission. It's called Ignite, and it's everything you need to know about finishing this sentence. I'm Catholic because. We cover the objections to the faith. We cover discipleship without defensiveness. It's apologetics. It's evangelization. And it's followed by a Q&A open forum, which lasts as long as you want it to last. So I think my amazing wife just cut and pasted there the link to Ignite. So yeah, we don't have a landing page for that, but we tailor them. So that one is a recent one. What's there when they go there to the Ignite page?
It's just a previous event. I didn't put that.
Yeah, previous event. Okay. So anyway, you can find out more. It's a dedicated website where people find out who I am, what the talk is, where it is, and what time. And they enter their credit card stuff, swipe there, and then the system emails them a reply, and that becomes their proof of purchase. That's it. Simple as that. Love to come back to beautiful Montana. Where in Montana, my friend? Are you near Whitefish? Let me know. All right, back to questions. Do I keep in touch with Catholic Answers? Yeah. I mean, I've talked to Trent Horn's been on the show. I've had Tim on the show. I was back on the show as a guest to talk about Humana Vitae. I don't listen to the content because I'm too darn busy. I do not consume mainstream Catholic media except for some news stories, so I don't know the answer. Um, so, hope that's a help. 3 Days Darkness is not Catholic teaching. It's something that is sold by, to me, fearmongers. There's some mystical allusions to this period of 3 days darkness, but people get their panties all in a wad. They really get uptight with fear, and you've got to have beeswax candles because demons will come to the door and they'll trick you, and it's all going to be. It's like a Catholic version of the Left Behind nonsense. There's no rapture, okay? The rapture is not going to happen. The word rapture is not in the Bible. It's a 150-year-old idea that came from the mind of John Darby Nelson. John Darby Nelson is an English Protestant. It's not scriptural, guys. So don't live in fear. What does the word of the canon say? We wait in joyful hope for the coming of our Savior, Jesus Christ. Obsessing about a non-existent thing like the 3 days of darkness is not going to help you await in joyful hope for the coming of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. So those are my thoughts. There is no coming great Catholic monarch. I don't believe that. If that's from some mystic writing, I reject that. I support monarchy. I'm a closet monarchist, yeah. But the Catholic faith can flourish in any environment. So I don't know what kind of little prophecy you're referring to there, Snowy. I'm sorry. I'm trying to be respectful but also honest. Ma Ella Bella is such an awesome name. Where in Australia, Ma Ella? Beautiful. See, now I'm way at the bottom. Okay, I got to go back up. I don't want to do that again. Sheen studied in Kankakee. Yes, born and based. I knew that. And he was born in, drumroll, El Paso, Illinois. Yes, just to give a decent name. Yeah, thank you, BDD. Appreciate that. I agree that decadence is accelerating expoundingly. Yep. It is. I agree. Yeah. Michael Jones is never going on EWTN, by the way. Never. Never. All right. That was too much. See, that was degrading to human persons. I'm sorry you had to hear that. Ignite. Yeah, there's Parish Mission. Ooh, now I'm curious. What was the message Carl Strehler retracted? Lucy, huge fan here, Patrick. Hey, Lucy, thank you. Yes, this is my real name. I understand. It's all good, Lucy. Glad you're here. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Yeah, still on YouTube. I thought so. Oh, hometown, Brisbane. I will go to Brisbane. Okay, I would love to meet my Australian friends that I've been interacting with for so long. I know the Archbishop of Hobart, Archbishop Julian Porteous, a very good man. I'd love to meet Archbishop Fisher, the successor to the great Cardinal Pell, whom I call friend. I've interviewed Cardinal Pell a number of times. I'm very proud that he endorsed my first book, Sexo Naturale. I believe it's physically impossible for him to have committed the crimes he's accused of, and I long for his complete vindication and liberation. So I want to get that in. So yeah, I go to the link there and find out more about the Ignite model. It might work for you, Snowy. So that'd be fantastic. Okay. Luke Devin, Winnipeg, Manitoba. I had a good friend, Albert, in Transcona. Transcona, eh? Went through there on a public speaking tour on chastity when I was a younger lad. So MT Trad is having a priest reach out to someone who is looking for a traditional Latin Mass. It's fantastic. I love it. This is what we do inside all the time on our Ask Away webinars. South America, quickly secularizing. Yes, it is. My wife's from Peru, so she's got the long view as well. Yes, prayers indeed. Sheepdog, I will come to South Florida. Okay, I know people in Marco Island and Boca. So yeah, I'll come. Just need an invite. The Protestant Masonic Alliance destroyed Catholic South America. I never know what to think about the Masonic alliances because they're very hard to trace. You know what I mean? Trent, very, very good ecumenical council. Counter-Reformation. See what I did there? Monarchy, yeah, I'm a fan of the monarchy. I live in a monarchy. I have a king, and he's my first allegiance, Christ the King. So as a Catholic, I am fully in the bosom of the longest running monarchy in history. Melbourne, beautiful. My Ella, when I grew up in Canada, the house that I grew up in had a downstairs apartment, and there was a beautiful couple with a profoundly handicapped little boy named Christopher. Their names were the Coulthards. It's funny, I always remember their name, the Coulthards. That might be Coulthard, singular is the name. Great family. They were from Melbourne. It was from the Coulthards that I got my first actual boomerang. I learned all about the didgeridoo and the koala and Kookaburra song. This is long before when I was a kid. Actually, what's the kids show that's in Australia? They're from Australia. Yummy Yummy Fruit Salad. The Wiggles. This is long before that. So I knew a lot about Australian animals and culture. And so anyway, there it is. Yes, Alabama for barbecue and cigars. Patrick, you are singing my song, man. You kill me, man. You're singing my song. Yeah, love to do an Alabama event. Fantastic. Hit the link, Deacon, and I'm there. I'm there. Yeah, write to my wife Mariela, and we'll set you up. patrickhoffman.media/contact. Yeah. Or the email posted. So fantastic. I would be very, very jazzed. I love when it's a multi-parish event, because most parishes they're like hermetically sealed cocoons, little enclaves. Even parishes, if you notice this, people who go to the 9 o'clock parish almost never meet the 11 o'clock parish people. And those people never meet the hungover Catholics who go to the 4 p.m. You know, they're very, very hermetically sealed and isolated. So there it is. I love multi-parish. Father Dave, what? Yeah, Father David, if you're there, let me go to the bottom here. Yes. Yep. Oh, Father Dave, yes, you're welcome to join for free. We don't charge priests. So, coffinnation.com. Keep in touch that way. And yeah, love to go to Raleigh, North Carolina. Very rich evangelization territory. Beautiful. Love it. So coffinnation.com is the website. We are an international community, mostly Catholic, not all. We are into restoring the culture by restoring the person in the mirror. We're into strong families. We're into learning about chastity. We talk about porn addiction recovery. We talk about the pro-life movement, how to effectively be a light and an encouragement and inspiration to people. Yeah, Margot, what is it about being a Nationista that you like, Margot? Maybe we can start with you. Anyone else want to chime in? That would be fantastic as well. Just the community aspect. To me, it's the interaction with other people that is the powerful draw. And access to me. Not that I'm a super genius and know all things, but I willingly make myself available. I never have an off switch, except for the Lord's Day, which I don't engage. So there it is. Yeah, Kurundu, I hope that's a help. When I look at Pence, I think they're still trying. Yeah, Mike Pence needs to come back to the Catholic Church. He just needs to come all the way home. If I ever got in front of him, that's what I would say. I'm also looking to interview Melania Trump, the First Lady, is so ignored. And by the way, she's now a practicing Catholic. Her former press secretary confirmed that. So that would be great. If you know the First Lady, let her know. I'd love to interview her. Yep, I'm going. Read Peel's South American History. There's a book, Siegfried, called The Guide to the Perfect Latin American Idiot. Have you read this? Perfect Latin American Idiot. I just want to find the... Yeah, there it is. By Carlos Montaner, Plinio Mendoza, and a much more famous writer. Yeah, Alvaro Vargas Llosa. It's a very interesting. It's kind of criticizing that Latin America is underdeveloped or underserved, which is code for they hate America. So it's kind of a corrective to a lot of liberalism you see inside South America. I think my wife's going to cut and paste it there. Science Giraffe. Can someone be a third order member of more than one religious order? I think, Science Giraffe, the answer is no. I think they want you to commit to one charism. I don't think the third order Dominican lady, I don't think they permit that. I think you're supposed to just stick with one, you know? Be who you are. I could be wrong. I don't know what the canon is, but off the top of my head, I think the answer is no. You can quit one and join the other, of course. Carlo is amazed that most Catholics support contraception. I thought it was wrong. Years before, I thought it was becoming Catholic. Patrick, your book, Contraception and Deception, was excellent. Thank you. Yeah, I find it amazing too. But one thing that Catholics labor under is that priests are kind of shy to talk about this. I have never heard of birth control mentioned from the pulpit. Goose egg, never. So people have to be told what the truth is about it. So, Carl, you're a member. Maybe if you can share a sentence or two on why it's of value and why you love being a Nationista, that would be great too. I can sit here and bloviate all night, but nothing better than a happy customer, happy member. Margot, I guess someone deleted my Immaculate Queen. Oh, well. Okay, yes, pray for Cardinal Pell. Welcome here. Oh, can I give you an example of a place I go that people are chicken to or don't want to go there at all? And it's Medjugorje. Medjugorje is not approved. And there's some very solid reasons why it's not approved. And the main one, it all adds up to that it's not approvable. Now this week, just today, they made a big deal. Archbishop Hoser, Henrik Hoser, is the retired Polish archbishop that Pope Francis trundled out of retirement, and he sent him to be the pastoral kind of administrator of the phenomena down there. Not the phenomena, but the pilgrims. And he held this big press conference saying that some high-level Vatican cardinals are going to be there. It doesn't mean anything. The bishops are strongly opposed to the allegations of the Blessed Virgin appearing in Medjugorje. Now, you can't talk about this in mainstream Catholic media. I don't know why. They don't want to touch it. I don't care. I want to stand with the church. And Medjugorje is a great example of a world that is so hungry for something spiritual, that people will grab at a fake. They'll glom onto something. Why? Because A, the parish life is often lackluster. The preaching is vapid and watered down or lukewarm. And they see a lot of devotion there. They see long lineups for confession. They see conversions. They see religious, vocations. But above all, they see their own intense subjective experience. So when you compare all of that with the comparatively weak, thin reality that the local bishops don't approve, that the official designation is non constat de supernaturalitate, which means it's not confirmed that anything supernatural has ever happened there. The Catholic Church teaches you don't have to believe the Blessed Virgin has ever appeared there because it's not approved. It's a rejected apparition. It's not officially condemned yet, although, honestly, even Pope Francis can see through this thing. You cannot get on an airplane believing Medjugorje is true, that the Blessed Virgin Mary has been appearing for all these 40-plus years with tens of thousands of insipid, Hallmark cardish, cliche bromides. You cannot go there believing that the apparitions are real. That's dissent. And disobedience and dissent are the biggest fruits of Medjugorje. There, I said it. I've interviewed Donald Foley twice, who's the historian on the phenomenon. You can go back in my first year. You can find those. Froze a little bit there. Sorry about that. Okay, we're refreshed. We're cool. So I want to stand with the church. I've had people offer to pay for me and my wife to fly there so I can see the truth. I don't need to fly there. Okay, I know it's not true. For the same reason, I don't need to fly to Lourdes to know that it's true. Now, I was at Fatima. I've been there, which has been approved since 1930. But you don't have to get on an airplane and waste your money going to a fake apparition site. You just have to believe with the church. And the church has spoken consistently from the first week, June 1981. So there's an example. I know it's not popular. I know some people are going to be angry. I know some people are not going to sign up right now because of my stance on Medjugorje. That's okay. There are a lot of other good people out there you can support. But I'm not going to compromise on what I know to be so. And what is so with regard to Medjugorje, it is not approved. And I believe it's unapprovable. If you want the account, then read Mr. Foley's book, Medjugorje Revisited. So anyway, that's a bit of a tangent, but I bring it up because it goes to my willingness to talk about things that other commentators seem to want to kind of verge around or, weaponize silence. I don't want to do that. So, again, the truth will set you free. Okay. James asks, I don't mean human monarchy. Yeah, I can live under a human monarch. Yeah, I'm a Canadian citizen, so I'm in a monarchy. Queen Elizabeth II is the monarch of Canada. Now, we have our own constitution. Since 1982, it's been a separate government, but the Queen is on all of our currency. Royal assent has to be given before parliamentary laws can be made official. So I don't have a problem with human monarchy, but my monarch didn't die for my sins. That's belongs to the secular sphere. Same with the people who live in a republic like the United States. They're not thinking of, if they're Christians anyway, they know they're still living in a monarchy called the Catholic Church, led by Christ the King. So I hope that helps. Thanks, Sheepdog. Thanks for that. Yes, the Catholic Church will never be destroyed. Yeah, that's the whole point. Yeah, that's why it's a good reason to become Catholic. The gates of hell will not prevail against the church not because the church is holy in her members, but because Jesus is holy in his. Wiggle, wiggle. Yes. Oh, that's cool. I wish I could show that, yeah. Oh, that's cool. My wife just showed me like a GPS-style map of our Coffin Nation members. Can we post that somewhere? We're going to put this... Which website? Oh, we're going to put it inside Coffin Nation just so you can see. It's really cool. The United States and Canada is all lit up. Japan, the Philippines, where we've got Coffin Nation members in the United Arab Emirates, Ireland. Any in Israel? The east end of the Mediterranean. Because the last time I checked, the Patrick Coffin Show had regular downloads in Israel and in the West Bank, in the Palestinian territories. Interesting. Migray? Lagos. We have members in Lagos, Portugal, Slovakia, Ireland, Italy. So these are new countries. So now I have to upgrade. We're not in 5 anymore. Was that a dozen? That's cool. We've had a big opener this time. This is really cool. Oh, disrespectful comment about Cardinal Pell. Yeah, thanks. Cardinal Pell's an innocent man. Cardinal Pell didn't do it. Listen to the interview with the guy who was at both, and he took copious notes. Crazy. Oh, yeah, the night Kadosh ritual. Yeah. By the way, I got so much negative pushback from my YouTube commentary on the truth about the Masonic Lodge. It's amazing. And the biggest pushback were from Catholic men who are members of the local lodge. So these are Masonic Catholics who think I'm a lunatic for calling out the Masonic Lodge as being incompatible with Catholicism. Like, nice try, guys. That was an interesting lesson. No, Interceptus, haven't joined the Rosary Confraternity, but I support the Rosary and pray it regularly. Albert, good to hear from you too. Been there, done that. Yeah, thank you. Church Public Revelation. Yeah, that's true. Right on. Vapid. I love little strange words. Vapid's a good word. Kind of colorless, lifeless. Oh, so Carl says, I love being with fellow Catholics, chatting with Patrick Coffin and showing some sort of support with what's going on with the world, increasingly hostile to Catholics and other Christians. Yes, increasingly hostile. Correct. Fantastic. Yeah, thank you for saying so, Deacon Patrick Lappert. Again, the truth sets you free. Medjugorje is a cash cow. They are so desperate for validation. They don't want you to see the little man behind the curtain, which is mammon. That's what drives Medjugorje. I'm going to use a potty word now. The retired bishop of Genoa I think his name is Gemma, actually, northern Italy, who is an exorcist. He said Medjugorje runs on the devil's shit, a reference to money. You actually have to pay the seers. You can hang out with them in their house. I saw Ivan Dragosevic have his little dog and pony display in Hamilton, Ontario, when he was there, and there was a charge. It was a conference, and that was when I first got red pilled on it, because I was kind of open. I thought, how can the devil orchestrate all these conversions? And then I saw him kneel down and look up, and he just looked absolutely bored out of his skull. I don't want to mock it. I really don't. But that was like creepy. And I thought, he's not looking at the Blessed Virgin Mary. Where's the joy? And why is it that these apparitions, if you can watch Mirjana have her apparition event regularly, you can watch them on YouTube. It's the same thing. She kneels down, a lot of this. She'll cry, and then she'll kind of look kind of troubled, concerned. Then she'll smile. It'll last 9, 10, 12 minutes. But then if you read the published message, it's like 2 sentences. What's being repeated here? Why is it that Fatima and Lourdes and Bahrain, why are they so few? The words of the apparitions themselves, the prophetic content of what the Blessed Virgin says to the usually children, they are lightning. They are stunning. And they're all accompanied by actual miracles, usually large-scale ones. And to me, the ultimate Marian apparition, in a way it's one of my favorites, is Knock, Ireland. In the 1870s, the Blessed Virgin Mary appeared in a rainstorm to this very simple farm people. And it was St. John, St. Joseph, the Blessed Virgin Mary, an altar, and a lamb. And you know what the Blessed Virgin Mary said? Nothing. None of the figures said anything. Getting a lot of buffering.
Yeah, I know that.
So it's like the music of silence of heaven. It's a picture of heaven. It's revelation. It's the altar and the lamb and St. Joseph, the patron of the church, and the Blessed Virgin Mary. There wasn't chatty Cathy. It's simple. It's profound. Mr. Foley took the time to put all of the apparition contents into letter-sized paper from Guadalupe to Fatima. All the messages fit on 11 pages. You compare that to the reams and endless reams of Medjugorje messages. It's just the contrast so obvious. How closely Medjugorje resembles apparitions that are condemned compared to legitimate ones. I can go on and on. But anyway, so thank you for that. We're gonna wind up now. I want to thank you for joining me. I would love to have you aboard coffination.com. We're closing the doors midnight 2 days from now on the 25th of July. So, yeah, Kudandu says, I don't think I stabbed anything. That's good. Good. Yep, so the rosary. Yeah, I'm going to have EMJ. I'm going to have E-Mike back. Yeah, my Immaculate Queen. You're making a lot of points here, but you're kind of off topic. The Queen of England awards pedophiles by uniting them, sir. That happened once with Jimmy Savile. I think it's silly for you to try to hijack this by saying, like the Queen of England does it all the time. Because there's a little thing called Catholic cardinals, predators on young people like Ted McCarrick, that popes have rewarded with titles far more important than sir. So I got to remove you. I'm sorry, my Immaculate Queen. You're just becoming a troll. Off topic. All right, new Logos. Yes, I'm looking forward to Dr. Jones's book on Logos. That's really the mountain that I want to get. To. This is very, very interesting. Yeah, I did. It's okay. Yeah, someone says Patrick's frozen. I'm not sure why. I think over time it might. There it is. Yeah, reload every 5 minutes or so. Yeah, doing that. Thank you very much. Okay, so a couple of pedophiles. You've mentioned 1, 2, 3 or 4. Okay, yeah. Pedophiles are master manipulators. One of them was given protection by a saint named John Paul II. His name was Father Marcel Maciel, the founder of the Legion. So all this saying that, the Queen of England did bad things by rewarding pedophiles. Pedophiles are geniuses at keeping their secrets secret. That's why they're effective in destroying lives. You don't figure out who they are until it's too late. So that's not an argument against human monarchy. Anyway, the troll's been removed. No, I don't think so. I think we're cool. We're gonna wrap up anyway. No, this is the strongest one. We'll keep it. What's the word? Keep it. Oh, cool. Oh, we had a super chat going. That's what it is. Super chats. Fantastic. People have been donating through the super chats. I've been so focused on the questions. Thank you, guys. Awesome. So I want to thank you very much for joining us again. Fellow Catholic from the Philippines. Thank you, Joanna. Thank you very much. Mark Vernon has a book coming out. Blah, blah, blah. Armor of God. Gird up your loins. Yeah, battle is on. Battle is on. You know what? We got to take up our weapon. Our weapon in this battle is the rosary. In fact, I think I'm going to have Father Don Calloway as a Transform You expert, because he's quite the genius at explaining the power of the rosary. Wonderful guy. Yeah, the Immaculate Queen. See, there's an example of an FNC, a fake name coward, they're just there to throw caca at the wall. That's all. They're just noise machines. Same with the other Sede guy. It's almost always a guy. So, thank you very much. Thanks for everything. Patrick Coffin here, signing off. Thanks for joining us at this Q&A. I hope it was a help. Above all, I would love to see you join coffinnation.com. We do this kind of thing regularly. We have regular guests, exclusive commentary, lots of goodies, and the entire vault of everything we've done so far in the last year. So with that, I will bid you adieu, and with great gratitude, remind you, it's also a lesson to myself, to be a saint. What else is there? See you real soon, hopefully on the inside, coffinnation.com.